The thing that I'll do sometimes is like, I don't like to eat in the cinema. I feel like shit. Food and watching a movie, no.
Mm-hmm.
But every so often, like, I've not had anything to eat, I'm hungry, and I smell one of those hot
Taking
dogs.
a curry.
And I'm like, no, I don't take a curry. But I might start doing that. I smell those hot dogs, and I'm like, fuck it, why not? I'm just going to get a hot dog. And then I get it, I'm just like, this is just dry and awful. Yeah. Like,
I saved. I made a point of going to the cinema a shit ton in the last 3 weeks because I had to make up films that I'd missed in my 100 movie year.
And what a finish you did!
And I got 97 before the triple bill of Star Wars, and then I watched The Force Awakens, and then I watched The Last Jedi, and then my 100th movie was Rise of the fucking Skywalker. And now let's start the episode.
Here we go.
It's meandering movies. It's meandering movies. It's meandering movies. So won't you lend an ear?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Meandering Movie Podcast, where we like to talk about movies, games, pop culture, celebrities, pretty much anything that crosses our minds. But it's usually in the movie geeky
stratosphere
of some description. This week, I'm Gary Copeland, and I'm joined by...
I am Gavin, pause for effect, Skywalker.
In your pause for effect, I'm pretty sure Audio Boy farted. No?
So...
some noise came out of your body just there.
So... this week's episode, this is like a bonus episode that we're putting out.
This is a bonus. This isn't going into the official list.
And you may have realised there are only... Well, we've also got Audio Boy over here.
We got Audio Boy.
What up? You may have noticed that our third host, Ryan,
man.
He's not here with us today.
He got a poorly tum.
He's unwell. He has to work.
He told me that he was trying to sneeze, and he thought it was just going to be a sneeze, and then he ruined 4 pairs of pants shitting.
Okay.
He told you this? He told me that he just took one pair off, the poo was running out, and he thought he was done, and then by the time he got the next pair on, more was coming out of him. So
we were like, well, Ryan, we have to go see Star Wars to do a review for it. And he went, Godspeed, my friends, go without me. And we left him on the battlefield, and then he was blown up by a planet-killing laser machine
strapped to a
Star Destroyer. Because
now you can just put planet-destroying lasers on anything.
Yeah.
What I like... Following the logic of getting... so you had the Death Star, which could destroy a planet. Cool. Then you had the Starkiller Base, which could destroy an entire system.
Yep.
And that was massive, which is cool. Then they shrunk the Death Star technology into a battering ram to punch the hole through the door.
Yep.
Then they made it more powerful somehow and smaller and strapped it to a ship. So fast forward another 10, 15 years, Star Wars episode...
Stormtroopers would just have blasters that could destroy
just
planets.
A laser pointer. Just boo! Be fucking. You don't even need one stormtrooper per planet. You'll save a fucking fortune on body count.
We probably should have said this sooner, but
this is going to be a spoiler-heavy episode.
Aha! I'll put it in the title, but this is going to be full spoilers. We're not holding back because what's the point?
No, exactly. If you're listening to this, we hope you've seen the movie. So I saw the movie at midnight last night. We
are recording this Thursday, the 19th of December.
The day of release. Day of release. And I sat through a triple bill. I sat through Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of the Skywalker, which I'm glad I did it because I got to watch Force Awakens again. Was
there any breaks in between the movies? Or?
About half an hour break. There was a half hour break and then about an hour's break.
That's not bad.
And yeah, we were kind of saving this chat for this. Force Awakens, we'll start with Force Awakens.
Sure.
Why not? And we'll briefly go through the other two before we get to the meat and taters of this episode. Force Awakens is a fine film. I watched it. I rewatched it for the umpteenth time. It's fine. It's very Star Warsy, very nostalgia. That's I think the 5th time I've seen Force Awakens after watching it over the years.
I've seen it 2 times. I think I've seen it 2 times,
and it's fine. It's definitely got the spirit of Star Wars pretty well embedded in it.
The Force Awakens was a film that had to appease the old fans who are upset by the prequels and bring in new fans, and so it just kind of gave us a Star Wars film we'd already seen, but with a couple of new updated things.
And it was nice. And
it was fine.
It's good. You get crazy aliens, you get Rey not knowing where she's from in the...
J.J. Abrams sets up a bunch of mystery boxes of Snoke. Who is Snoke? Who are Rey's parents? What is Finn going to do ever? Just a bunch of these wee things. You're like, okay, I'm interested. I like all these characters. I like the dynamic between Finn and Rey. Kylo Ren's intense, and I like the
Poe Dameron, kick ass.
sure Poe Dameron's in that movie a bit.
I like Poe Dameron. I'm a Poe Dameron fan.
Well, as we go on talking about these films, I really wanted to like all these characters. But yes, so it's.
I know what you're going to say. I'm with you.
The Force Awakens,
We'll
I
get to
feel, does a good enough job of setting
setting
up
the
in this new
stage.
trilogy and has you interested.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not a big fan of J.J. Abrams' mystery box type of writing, it got me interested. And I was like, I would like to see more of these characters.
It is a good watch. It's
Like,
an enjoyable
yeah.
hour and a half, hour, 40 minutes. It does set the stage really well. And
Yes.
yeah, you got your creepy villain. You've got
You've got your Snoke, who's Palpatine. You've got Kylo, who's your Darth Vader.
General Hux.
You've got...
but then it also, what I did like about Force Awakens and what I really like about Rise of the Jedi and...
Rise of Skywalker.
Last Jedi.
The Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker. Rise of the Skywalker? The Rise of Skywalker.
I don't care.
The Rise of Skywalker.
Whatever. I'm with you. I don't care. We'll get to it. And what I did like, though, is, you watch Force Awakens and you think, all right, so there's the new Luke, there's the new Han Solo, there's the new whatever. And then you realize by the end of it, oh, wait, they're not actually going... These aren't carbon copies of the characters that we've already known.
Yeah, I think the one that stands out the most is Kylo Ren. Of just like
Kylo Ren,
he's
and
not,
I'd say Rey as well. I think
Sure.
they're both kind of walking the path of duality, and
you can see where they want those characters to go, but they're not like she's not 100% a Luke and he's not 100% Darth Vader.
Yeah.
There's kind of crossovers that are interesting.
it's good. It works.
And I
that way.
remember when The Force Awakens finished, I was like, well, that was A New Hope again. Sure, annoying, but I was interested and eager to come back for more of those characters. And that's
brings us into Last Jedi. Quite
whenever we get to Last Jedi.
So I've rewatched it now. That's the second time I've seen it. I watched it the first time, and I personally really enjoyed Last Jedi.
I've seen Last Jedi twice.
And I know everyone else. I know this is the unpopular opinion. Everyone says it's bad, but I'm sitting in the cinema, watching it pretty much back to back with Force Awakens. That film is not identical, but it feels like a direct continuation. Rian Johnson's direction in that film, bar some fucking phenomenal cinematography, it's more of the same. Like I think it was you and Ryan who were saying last week, like, oh, it's just boring and it's blah blah blah. And yeah, it has its issues, but I genuinely just was like, this is more of Star Wars. This is
The
more
thing
Force
with
Awakens.
The Last Jedi is Rian Johnson really tried to do some different things. He didn't he took all of J.J. Abrams' mystery boxes and decided to
Punt them out the
subvert
window.
expectations and flip them on their head. But unfortunately, the way he went about that was so dumb at times and so just bizarre that the film by the end is just an absolute mess that just it splutters out to an end.
I
feel.
disagree. I think at the end of that, you're left with your very much middle of the trilogy.
Are you though?
Things haven't progressed massively, but you've
I
had
mean, the way it ends,
an
it's
action
just
adventure romp.
like Snoke's dead. Kylo, I guess, is going to be in charge of the Empire or the First Order, and then the rebels are just kind of like, well,
the rebels are fucked.
it's just like, but then it ends, and I was like, the difference is when The Force Awakens ends and The Last Jedi ended is when The Last Jedi ended, and I sat up and left the cinema. I went, I don't care. Like, there's nothing now pulling me back in. Like the stuff with like they did with Luke, I was like, I was so interested with the Luke stuff where like he was this old man who was like he didn't believe in this
Disillusioned with the Jedis.
Yeah, I really like that kind of stuff. It was
Especially because that's like
interesting.
his whole life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then the film just kind of goes against that anyway. And the stuff was like Ray's parents, like your parents are no one. It's like, okay,
That's good.
that's interesting. And then there's stuff with Ray and Kylo, where it's like, oh, maybe she's going to pull Kylo over to her side, or she's going to pull, and then they just don't. They just kind of go separate ways and do what they were always going to do anyway.
But then that's all middle films. If they'd resolved all of that, they wouldn't have needed
No,
a
but the
third
problem
movie.
is with The Last Jedi is, sure, it doesn't resolve anything, but it doesn't set anything up to get you excited to come back for The Rise of Skywalker.
I disagree. I think rewatching it that second time, because I enjoyed it and I was trying to remember how it finishes, and rewatching it that second. So this is fresh in my mind. That film finishes with the Empire in pretty much full control. The rebels are scattered to the winds. They're fucked. They're talking about, like, we honestly don't know where to begin on this, but as long as we're still fighting, we can be the spark that ignites the fire, which I think is a direct line, or as close to a direct line as I'm going to get. And they decide to, as long as we have the tiniest bit of fight left in us, we can win this, and that's what we're going into the next film with. And I get what you mean, like Snoke gets killed, so there's no big bad. But then Kylo Ren gets put into the Supreme Leader position. So for me, at the end of Last Jedi, I was like looking forward to the Rise of Skywalker. Thank you. The Rise of Skywalker with Kylo Ren's now going to be in charge of the new Empire.
Yeah.
The First Order. He's going to be. We already know he's disillusioned himself with the Empire. He's borderline going light side. You know what I mean? So what's he going to do with that power? He's battling within himself. You've got Rey and him having conversations. Is Rey going to go dark side and then Kylo's going to flip? You know what I mean? Like all of these things that could be so interesting.
Yeah, the thing with The Last Jedi is that what it does with Rey, Kylo, Luke, and I guess a wee bit Snoke as well. Really interesting, really great character kind of stuff there that they're kind of working with, and the kind of back and forth that they're kind of pulling each other in different directions. The rest of the film around them is fucking awful. And that like all of the stuff with Finn and Poe is awful. Finn went back to the prequels, and Poe is just an idiot wandering around the galaxy in slow motion.
Watching that on the second watch through of the Last Jedi, 100%. My biggest gripe is the Poe insubordinate Admiral Holdo
fucking space chase.
Well, see, the slow space chase I was fine with, but the problem is they don't tell Poe. Poe comes up with this plan with Finn. And it could have
a nonsensical plan.
It could have all been fucking like if they just be like, Poe, here's the plan. Everyone on the ship, by the way, this is what we're doing. So don't go and do any fucking dumb shit because we're gonna survive this.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a suicide mission. We're getting out of this. Don't worry. But they just fucking don't.
And what makes it worse?
Because Leia's in a coma or something.
If she fucking flies around in space as well.
I have no problem with that. Leia can use the Force.
Whatever. I don't care.
That's no problem with that.
I don't care. See, what you're going to come to realize when it comes to all these arguments, well, not really arguments we're having, these back and forth we're having, is in the end, I just don't care anymore. But it's like, the problem that then comes with The Last Jedi is the film is so long and it drags. This chase just drags out for the end, and then they get to the snow planet, and I'm like, I'm so bored. They've killed Snoke at this point, and like Rey and Kylo's story in this movie is now over. We're gonna have to wait till the next one for it to progress. So now it's just a big fucking dumb battle, and fucking Luke. I'm just like, oh, I don't care. Yes, it looks beautiful. It's beautiful to look at, but I'm not invested anymore.
On the flip side of that, watching it in the cinema again, I was dozing through The Force Awakens, probably because I've seen it a couple of times and I was tired. But Last Jedi, my plan was to have a few like micro naps throughout it so that I could be wide awake for Rise of Skywalker.
Same thing you just said.
Well, because it's like I was in the cinema for 9 hours yesterday. That's way too long.
Why not just rent them at home and watch them on your couch?
Well, I could have done, but I needed 100 movies. I'm a 100 movie man.
Bet you're not going to do that next year.
God no.
You had to sit through a lot of shite to do that. I remember the year I did it. I was like, it was a good year for me.
But yeah, so by the time I got to the end of it, like Rise of the Last Jedi, I was awake through the whole thing. I was engaged. I was like, this is good. I on second watch, I don't understand what the people like. I don't understand where you're coming from. I can't get on board.
For me,
with that.
it's just like I was so invested in the Rey and Kylo stuff, and I was like, yes, and then it would cut to something else, and it would have fucking Finn running around on CGI rabbit horse monsters around a casino planet, and Poe just standing, I guess, doing stuff, and I was like, stop, please, just get on with it.
What is interesting about that though is that's a symptom of Star Wars as a series though, because you go back to the originals and the prequels, they've always been about huge casts. And the films always jump from piece to piece. And it's like when you read a book that has 4 characters and every character gets their own chapter. I don't know if that happens to you, but I read plenty of books and you get through and you're like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening with Kate? Oh fuck, Nathan's chapter.
Yeah.
And you're like, I got to get through this one as quick as possible because I'm kind of not invested until the last 3 chapters when Nathan suddenly becomes the fucking MVP and you're like, what? Like, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
I do understand. And it's hard to make them all interesting, but that's a Star Wars issue.
I mean, and then I think the last issue that comes for The Last Jedi is Rian Johnson's a very competent director, but this became apparent when I watched Knives Out and I've gone back to watch Looper, is he doesn't understand tone. Because there's moments in The Last Jedi that are so intense and just emotionally massive and insane.
Quips.
And then it cuts to this bizarre comedic moments where like fucking Luke's milking an animal or the porgs are fucking going wah, and you're just like,
but then that's
tonally
again,
what is this film?
That's the whole, is it a kids film or are they making them for the adults? Like that's a problem with where Star Wars is currently situated on the grand scheme, and that perfectly brings us to Rise of the Skywalker, I think.
I mean, yes, The Last Jedi ends. Well, here's a question I have for you: when The Last Jedi ended, when you first saw it for the first time, did it have you excited for the end of this trilogy?
I think it's what's interesting. Not as much as I thought I would, because weirdly, I think you could just leave it at The Last Jedi. You could leave it at The Last Jedi, and bar Rey and Kylo Ren's story.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, like what's happening? But you can make your own mind up. The rebels are there. They're going to be the spark. The kids have got force powers. There's force. Like you could almost leave it at The Last Jedi and be happy with it. And I fucking wish I had done that.
Yes, because
you ready, ladies and gentlemen? Rise of the Skywalker is one of the biggest pieces of shit I think I have ever seen.
oh, you're playing my role today.
Oh. What's your quick take on it?
My quick take is I came out, Audio Boy and I saw the film just a few hours before, like an hour before recording this.
This is like right in the front of
Very
you.
fresh. The two words I used to describe it was rubbish and embarrassing. And
Good words.
So Audio Boy and I, like straight back, we've been talking about it like
And very quickly, Audio Boy, your quick take?
yeah. Is the thing
I think that perfectly sums it up.
the thing like I came like coming into The Rise of Skywalker, I had no excitement for this film. I wasn't eager to see it. I was just like I think I said to Audio Boy like a couple of nights ago, like I just now want to see the film so I've seen it and it's done and I can get
The
on with
saga
things.
has finished.
Like because I
You can
just
stop doing Star Wars for the next 6 years.
because I can't stress how much I didn't care walking into this film, and walking out of it, my genuine response is just like, I don't care. Like it
So-
did nothing.
I walked into it straight coming out of Last Jedi, so I was definitely in a different place of like,
Yeah.
oh god, like I completely forgot the rebels are scattered. Like, oh my god, like this is actually going to be a good film. I was so fucking stoked, and I was surprised at myself because I haven't watched them in ages. But I was surprised. I was like, I'm excited to find out like what's going to happen to Rey, what's going to happen to Kylo Ren. He's now in charge. Like there are enough leads in there that on a direct watch going straight into Rise of the Skywalker, I was excited. And then for the opening crawl to just say, the dead speak, Emperor Palpatine's back. What?
Also,
You can't just drop a huge fucking nugget of really important exposition in one line of text.
I mean, that's the problem that this movie has and all of Star Wars has. It's just like, it just dumps information onto you. You don't really have time to process it, or you don't really care about processing it, and then you just move on to the next big spectacle thing.
Here's my breakdown of Rise of the Skywalker. 40% exposition, 40% MacGuffin chasing, 20% set pieces. 20% set pieces, best bit of the movie. The other 80% of the movie...
Do you know what I think The Rise of Skywalker is a perfect example of? Is if you don't have a clear vision when you first start a trilogy, you are going to fucking fall over the finish line. Because when it came to The Force Awakens, they got J.J. Abrams. And like he did that. And then Rian Johnson was then tapped to do The Last Jedi. But these are two different filmmakers with two different visions. And so Rian Johnson's vision kind of took off and went in a different weird direction. And originally Colin Trevorrow, who did Jurassic World movies, he was going to do Rise of Skywalker. But then everyone saw how terrible of a director he is, and Disney kind of quietly just pushed him aside.
Get
and they
out.
went, JJ, can you come back in now and just kind of like bring us in for landing? But JJ had to work with The Force Awakens that he'd done.
JJ's basically tried to connect the Rise of Skywalker, god damn it, and Force Awakens while
Every so often touching upon
Last Jedi
some of the
because
things
he
that Rian
knows
Johnson
he
had
has
brought
to.
in. But
It doesn't work.
no, because it literally, it just... If you have no clear vision, if you have no one at the head, if you don't have a Kevin Feige of your MCU, a guy who's like, this is where we're going,
I've got it.
this is our star map of where the films are going to go, your films are just going to be disjointed messes. And I said it in our last Star Wars episode, where they're like, this is the end of 40 years, we're going to cap off all 9 films. And I went, that's literally impossible, because you have so many different fingers in the pot. I don't know, is that the saying? It's like cooks in the kitchen. You have so many fucking cooks in the kitchen. And so when it comes to Rise of Skywalker, the film starts at a fucking light speed pace. Generally because I think they were just like, this is so dumb. We
the
just need to
pacing of that movie is it never lets up.
Nope.
And on a good film, you're kind of like, that's great. Like it was just story beat after story beat, and
like a
everything was so
Dunkirk, but it's like the
compacted.
pace just goes
It's
and you're
just
just wrapped
quick.
up in it.
Whereas this just felt like This thing's happening. Exposition, 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 exposition. Keeping up. Exposition, 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 exposition.
And do you know why that?
Oh fuck! No, slow down. I need to figure out why is Palpatine here. Why is Kylo Ren got a fucking magic crystal map? What the fuck is blowing?
Do you know why they've done it? And here's why.
Ah!
Here's why I think they've done it. If they've gone for this fucking insane pace of just throwing, it's because if they slow down and give you the chance to think about what's happening, you'll just fucking laugh and give up because it's nonsensical by the end.
The way when it does slow down, the few moments it slows down in the first 30 minutes is the Leia inserts, which God bless them, they tried their best.
Yeah, I think those worked out okay.
I think the Leia being in the film, fine. All of the characters interacting with Leia, clunky, weird, didn't work.
Because what they clearly did is they took a scene from Leia from The Force Awakens, and then they reused that quite a few times. So all the time that people talk to Leia, it's the exact same shot of over the shoulder looking down, and we've just got an actor standing.
Yep.
I mean, they tried. They had to do something.
They tried.
It worked out pretty well. It's impressive looking.
It
compared
looks
to some of the
impressive.
other CGI faces.
It's like they're so ham-fisted and they're so clearly written, like reverse engineered. Like, right, we've got Leia saying, "Can you say that optimistically?" To Finn. All right, cut Finn out, and then put in that guy, and then he says like, "Leia, the Empire are about to shoot down all of our ships. Can you say that a bit more optimistically?" Oh, this is a really good thing, Leia. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? What is this little snippet?
They had two options of they could have either done nothing and written it out or done something.
I know, write her out in the crawl, which just feels...
Yeah,
it would have felt as cheap
but then
as
saying
writing,
that,
writing Emperor Palpatine into the fucking crawl.
But her death was
fucking
so...
dumb.
I mean, there's no way they could have Leia continue to be in the films, and so that's
For as long as... I mean,
and
they
had to
did...
kill her
it's,
off.
it's a miracle they did it as long as they managed. I thought it was going to be one of those scenes, maybe like two very
and
quick
then
snippets.
she just gets blasted by a stormtrooper or something.
Yeah, and then she dies. But no, it's 30 minutes. She just keeps popping up.
Then I love it when it finally comes time for like, oh well, Leia's gonna die. She just kind of like lies down. It's like, I'm tired, and that's it.
Put a blanket over me. That signifies death, right? Yeah. Just I'm not getting up again. My hips.
I think
So the pacing is mental.
it's insane. Like
Mental.
generally in the beginning when it like all that stuff with Kylo happens and he shows up and Palpatine's there and I was like, fucking hell.
I think let's just do it segment by segment. So the Kylo Palpatine thing is pure exposition, and
Yeah.
it happened so quickly. And honestly, I didn't have a fucking clue what they were talking about. I was trying to understand it, and I was just lost in a sea of
Palpatine
Jedi's and dark side and evil, and you'll take my place. And
Well, the funny thing is, J.J. Abrams comes back, and all the mystery boxes he set up in the first one, he answers 90% of them in the opening of this one, where he's just like, "Yeah, Palpatine did it all."
Yeah.
Who was Snoke? Palpatine made him.
Palpatine
What's
made
wrong
a
with his
big
parents? Well, Palpatine knows.
Snoke clone thing.
Yeah, Palpatine was chasing Rey the entire time. Palpatine's like, "Where's all these ships coming from?" Palpatine's made all these ships. So it's
Palpatine
like,
made them all.
okay, I guess Palpatine's just fucking God. He just does whatever he wants.
Palpatine's back from the dead. We know it's been fucking 30 years, 40 years, but he's back.
And he's just been hanging
with
out in a cave.
In the Sith planet.
Sure.
So then that happens. Then the Poe, Finn, Chewie light speed skipping.
They get stuff.
Scene.
Yeah.
But that light speed skip thing was I enjoyed that little segment. That was the first bit where I was like, this is cool. Like them just blipping into ice planet, rocks, asteroids, sandworm. I was like, whoa, this is fucking nice. And then I think that's the last bit that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Oh wow.
So what? 10 minutes in?
Yeah.
Like that was the last bit of it that I
Here's-
went, wow, my brain just accepted it, and I was like, cool. There are other set pieces later on, don't get me wrong, but it was pretty soon after that I went, what the fuck is happening in this film? I can't keep up.
See, you went for what the fuck is happening in this film, I can't keep up. And I went a different route, which was when they all get back to that rebel planet and Rey's looking through some books and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there and I just had this moment of realization just come over me and I went, oh my God, I don't care.
Yeah.
And after that, I just kind of passively watched the film go by. I was just kind of like, oh, we need to go here and get this person to do this thing. And I'm like, okay, you go do that.
Then that brings us to the next little, like I said, and this is probably the biggest chunk of the movie, finding the MacGuffin, the little, the crystal
Sith
map,
compass
Sith
thing.
Wayfinder, whatever the fuck it was. So that takes up a good chunk of the movie.
Yeah, they go to a sand planet.
It was Sand Planet with octopus dancers. They go some, and
Let's not forget on the Sand Planet within, and Audio Boy was a great fan of this moment because they kept doing this similar thing. They killed Chewie, and in the next scene, showed Chewie was not dead. And I'm like, that was a waste of time.
Seconds. They pulled that trick. They did it with C-3PO.
Yep.
They did it with Chewie.
They did it with all of them
They
at one
did
point.
it. Yeah. They just like everyone dies.
They like went into some sort of like sinking sand stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it just kind of slowly panned out.
It's
and I thought,
on that scene for
what
ages.
if they just end the film right now?
It was so funny. Like,
That's it.
it was this kind of quiet moment, pan out, and Phil just turns to me and goes, "Movie ends." And I'm like, "I take it. I take it."
But I think the biggest issue with that Wayfinder finding, and it's pure find the MacGuffin. That's quite literally what that fucking thing is. It's again just go to Sand Planet, go to the underground, go to this place, go find Lando, go do this, go do that, go do that.
Go
Here's
heal
the
a
next
big
character.
snake monster with the power that's never been in a Star Wars movie
Yeah,
before.
not Leia. Ray can now heal that. Now we're going to go to the water place. Here's another new character. Interested in her? Tough. She's fucking tertiary. If you're not a Palpatine, a Skywalker, or a Solo, you are a tertiary character in this movie. You have no standing, and you will be introduced for the briefest of moments before bumped into the background.
And then during all of this, the plot will just have whatever thing you need happen.
Sorry, before the fucking weather planet, they go to the little. I can't even explain this one. Just that little town that's overrun by stormtroopers asking for identification, and you meet another fucking character who adds
Ponos.
Ponos, and
then there's
Ponos was a smuggler or something at one point, but
a
that never
spice
gets
runner.
explored. Spice runner.
And then there's that great scene, because this is the way that this film works plot-wise, where she's like, "Well, I'm going to get off this planet. I've got this thing that you are going to need later on in the film." And I'm like, she's like, "Oh, I've got this disc thing. I can
This will
get
get you anywhere on any ship,
Yeah.
and you'll get in no questions.
And I'm like,
asked.
oh, so they're
gonna
going to use that to get onto the
myself to
ship.
get off this planet. Oh, nice one.
Next scene.
3 seconds later, you're going to need this, by the way. Oh, but I thought you wanted that. No, it's fine.
Also, remember when I was about to shoot you earlier because I hate you?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Is it?
C3PO is just like,
Gavin, it just doesn't make any sense.
C3PO is like, I'm going to lose my memory and I'll never remember any of you.
Oh, it's just fucking so aggravating.
50 minutes later, C3PO's got his memory back. It's like, okay, do you know what's funny? It's fun to be on this side of things.
I'm
usually
so fucking angry at this. It's like,
see, this is usually me. I'm usually the one who's angry and losing his mind and rubbing his temples, and I'm over here and I was like, I don't fucking care anymore.
You did the right. I should have gone in with no expectations. But I watched 2 good Star Wars movies and I got fucking excited, and then I just got shit put in my mouth by J.J. Abrams, and then Palpatine moved my jaws and made me fucking swallow it by rubbing my throat. Oh, I fucking hated this film so much.
Do you know what's bizarre? It's like, this is a J.J. Abrams movie, yes, but it doesn't feel like a J.J. Abrams movie.
It doesn't feel like a fucking J.J. It doesn't feel like a J.J. Abrams movie. It doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie. It doesn't feel like...
well, that's the other thing. Like, Force Awakens felt both like a J.J. project and a Star Wars project working together. And I really like that. And in this one, this didn't feel like a J.J. film, and it didn't feel like a Star Wars film.
It feels so disjointed and so far away from the grand scheme of Star Wars. And for me, I think it got to the halfway. So after the... If I'm being genuine, if I'm not over exaggerating, I think after the Chewie death scene, when they got through Kajimba, I think it was called, and then they got through the next place.
They're going to Kylo's ship.
Kylo's ship. That's that whole bit, and then they go to the place after that, which is the water place. I think it was Kajimba. Kajimba, where they
just Endor.
They go Endor, which you fucking barely see. It's just jumping from location to location so that they can show you locations and introduce new characters for no reason. Like, absolutely no reason. To show you, I think, so that Finn has a love interest and Poe has a love interest? But then I thought Finn had a love interest with Kelly Marie Tran's character.
Yeah, Rose.
Who gets tertiary, again, just fucking bumped to the sidelines for no reason.
She gets friend-zoned by Finn.
Like, I think it was the water planet, Kajimba. I just gave up. I just stopped. I was like, this doesn't feel like anything. It just feels like I'm watching
nothing.
You're
just watching.
you know what it feels like? It felt like I was watching J.J. Abrams go, check that box.
It was like a
Check that
checklist.
box.
It was like
Check
it's
that
like, hey,
box.
here's the beats we need to hit. So
Yep.
let's just like tick. We've done that. So we
Move
need
on.
to get to the Death Star. So we'll have an action scene. The action scene's over, and here's the Death Star. Tick.
Check that.
So we've now done the Death Star. Now it's time to have the low point where they all think they're going to lose and die. We've done that. Oh, here's our Luke
Do
Skywalker.
you believe that that was his choice, though? Or is he being told by Disney and the mega corporation to be
well,
like,
that's the thing. Like we
you
can't.
need to do these things
Yeah,
because
we
we can't
can't-
have any of our characters die.
I'm not shitting on J.J. Abrams here, not necessarily.
For me personally, I don't put the blame on JJ for this. He
I'm
was
not.
brought onto not a sinking ship, a sunken ship, and he had to try and get it back off the bottom of the sea and up sailing again.
This
He
isn't-
was not
Is
able
this
to do that.
Kathleen Webber-Face's fault? The one that's
she-
in charge of it all.
Kathleen Kennedy, George
Kennedy,
Lucas, whoever the writer was for the film, Chris
Terrio.
Chris Terrio.
Whose writing credits, I looked this up because I was this angry last night. Writing credits are Justice League and Batman v Superman.
Oh,
Which,
wow.
you know what? I seen it and I went, well, that's all I need to know. Well, there we go. That honestly explains half of the fucking problems now.
Wow.
Like, right?
Yeah.
It's madness.
That's a man who he'll clobber a plot together and then forget about characters. And that's the point. But the next point I feel with The Rise of Skywalker is this film, like Force Awakens, the reason I think it worked was because of its characters. The Last Jedi, it tore all those characters apart. And so I lost interest in those characters apart from Rey and Kylo. And then by the time it gets to The Rise of Skywalker, the film doesn't care about the characters, and when it does, you don't care because you're just never given you a reason to care. And when that film ends and it's like Finn and Poe and Rey are all hugging each other and everyone's so happy, or there's like the Han Solo like moment where he comes and speaks to Kylo and stuff.
Surprising. I thought Harrison Ford was done with them. But
Yeah.
It was a
But, you know,
surprising
a paycheck's a paycheck.
Paycheck,
And I'm just like,
clearly.
I'm just sitting there and going like, I don't care about any of these characters. Like, I have no investment in any of them. Like, not even Kylo Ren, which was the character. I fucking love Adam Driver as an actor, so I was so excited for Kylo. And in this film, the film just kind of forgets. It's like these actors have nothing to
They
do.
let Adam Driver down.
They let all of these
He
actors
tried
down.
so hard, and,
and
that's
that's the thing, right? Here's the good points of this movie: Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaacs. Them two I'm lumping together because separately they kind of feel flat, but their bromance in this film is it's enjoyable to watch them bounce off of each other. And yet, Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver, they fucking do their goddamn best
to try and pull something out of it.
and credit to them, they're trying. They are trying, but like I find it so weird that we've just skipped through pretty much 2/3 of the movie because there's just not much to talk about there. It's just jumping, like we said, jumping from place to place because they need to,
So they can just get them out.
so that we can. And let's talk about the kind of third.
You're kind of
act now.
forgetting that Rey kills Kylo Ren in the middle of all of that. We've just skipped all of that.
Does she?
Yeah.
The fight in the Death
She
Star.
stabs him.
Stabs him.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And then she brings.
And
And
then
she
Oh,
she
shit,
brings
and
him
then
back to life only
because-
because Princess Leia kills herself to save save her son's
Ben.
soul.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I honestly completely forgot about that section.
Because it just for these films, just like death is utterly meaningless. When they're like
at this point, 100%.
when they're like showing everyone's in danger, they're going to die, and I'm like, okay, they won't, and if they do, they'll come back anyway.
well,
So
as
it's
long as
just
you're as long as you're a Palpatine Skywalker or connected to one of these people, you're fine.
There's
You're
the
safe.
scene like after Rey's.
So wait. Let's talk about the third act before we unless you're going to talk about the middle act before we.
No, I was going to talk about when Rey goes to see Luke, which I think is the beginning of the third act.
Yeah. So let's have that check because so the third act is where a majority they try and this. It's why it feels like they rushed through the first hour to get to this point, and it's when. Yeah, Rey goes and speaks to Luke.
And what I realized is a Force ghost, fucking meaningless because you're just you're just alive. You
Yep.
can just do it. Like
Yoda
fuck-
turns up at The Last Jedi. Luke's in this one.
and he just fucking picks up a lightsaber and just does shit. And I'm just like, you're not dead. You're still alive and able to do whatever the fuck you want. So why am I supposed to mourn your death at the end of The Last Jedi if you can just wander into this one and still be alive? It's pointless. It's hilarious at this point.
You're so right.
Do you know?
though.
What,
It's
do you know?
bad.
Also, what I realized is hearing you laugh there is I laughed quite a few times during this film. Never with it. I always laughed at it.
Yeah.
What was the moment? I know what the moment was when they reveal who Rey's parents are and who her grandfather is, just laughed. I just laughed at the film because I'm like, you're so out of ideas.
It's so mad.
It's embarrassing. So that's why I mean it's embarrassing.
And this is third act stuff. Ray goes to speak to Luke. Then I'm trying to remember. They culminate on the evil planet. They all manage to get there one way or another.
Sure.
Fucking however they do it. Ray charts a course.
Yeah.
By stealing Kylo's ship.
She flies Luke's X-wing.
That's it. And she puts the Wayfinder in it, and then they follow her. Whatever. They all get there. You find out her parents were Palpatine's children.
We find that out on Kylo's ship.
On Kylo's ship, which has never been breadcrumbed.
Nope.
Never been talked about.
Well, do you know why? It's because, again, these films had no overseer of ideas.
Yeah.
So J.J. Abrams just put it out there with, like, who are our parents? But he didn't know because he was like, I'm done. I've told my story. Yep. Then Ryan Johnson comes along and he goes, nah, let's not make them anyone because that's too obvious. So they're no one. We're like, okay, they're no one.
Which is interesting.
We'll run with that. And in this one, they're just like, nope, your grandfather's Palpatine. And I'm just like, fuck off. Like,
madness.
You're so bad. Like,
it's not only is it laugh worthy, and you're right, it's embarrassing, but it's also just so fucking trite that in the grand final act of our film, the good guy is a Palpatine and the bad guy is a Skywalker. Did you see that coming? Yeah. Yes, I fucking did. Because you couldn't do the good guys are Skywalkers and the bad guys are Palpatines anymore because you had to flip something. And the fucking laziest option is just to go, fucking whatever, Palpatine's good and Skywalker's bad. There. Done. Moving on. What's my next paycheck? Another fucking Marvel movie? Sweet.
Do you know what it's clear to see? And people have said this before. Is Star Wars just doesn't have any ideas.
Yeah.
Like what it's like we've had these 9 films,
2 spin-offs.
And 2 spin-offs.
Shit ton of TV
all
shows.
of them have connected back to Skywalkers, the Solos, and the larger story.
I have said this 1,000 times and I'll say it going forwards. The biggest problem Star Wars has is that they keep tying things back to these 2 families, these 3 sets of groups of people. And every time they do it, it just makes your universe feel not like a universe.
Yeah.
It makes it feel like you're watching just players in a show. It reminds you you're watching a film. Because why would everything be connected?
Because if you think about it, in the big final showdown, it is, like you say, a Skywalker and 2 Palpatines just fighting each other.
Yep.
And I'm like...
So what do we got? We're on the planet. Palpatine fucking finds her parents. Rey finds out she's a Palpatine. Then you have that really nice fight scene where Rey's fighting... I think she's fighting Palpatine at this point. She's fighting somebody. No, it's not Palpatine, but she's fighting somebody.
The guards.
And Kylo's fighting the guards.
No, he's fighting the Knights of Ren and she's fighting the Sith Guards.
That's it. And Knights of Ren
And
get used
she gives him a lightsaber through the Force.
Through the Force, which I was annoyed about. I was annoyed about it. I really was.
I couldn't care less. I was just like, this is fucking... Okay, whatever.
However, in that scene, I think is the best piece, the best bit of character development in the entire movie, because I want to talk about the character development, which is non-existent.
Oh, yeah.
But fine, let's just touch on it now. The character development in the film, all of the arcs are... nothing. There's no character development.
There are no character arcs. Finn and Poe are just like... Finn
and Poe are just there.
What was the thing Finn wanted to tell Rey?
Jono and Kieran said, it was that he loved her. And I was like, no, if that was what it was going to be, that's annoying as fuck. Because in all the other films, they have a friendship.
Yes.
For me anyway, it's felt like they've explicitly had a friendship because they didn't want to make them a love interest.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it couldn't have been that. I think it might have been that she was a Palpatine, but I don't understand why, 1, he knew that, and 2, he would have told her then and there.
I've also just realised I asked the question.
That he has the Force.
He definitely has the Force.
Yeah.
Right?
But you know what? I realised I asked that question. I don't give a fuck about the answer. I don't care. I just don't care.
There's no character development.
Yeah, Finn and Poe are just like wisecracking, shoot a laser.
Yep.
Rey thinks she's going to be bad but wants to be good. And she's good in the end, like she's always been.
Yep.
And Kylo's like...
Kylo Ren has the closest thing to an arc.
Sure.
And the one bit of character development, which is the best bit, is when he pulls that lightsaber out from behind his back and he stands there and just does that like... Ta-da! and then fucking wails on them. I was just like, that was brilliant from like that was genuinely good from Adam Driver. And I don't know if he was doing it because he doesn't give a fuck, or if he was like, no, it's kind of showing Kylo Ren's coming away from being just a big evil monolith to having a personality and being more Ben Solo. But it was just this nice.
If there's going to be one gif that summarizes the rise of Skywalker, it's just going to be Adam Driver just shrugging, just being like,
got a lightsaber now.
It's like, who gives a fuck? Nothing matters. I could just pull a lightsaber from thin air. Nothing matters.
So then, after those fights, we then get to the Palpatine Rey Ren fight. Palpatine gives even more exposition about why everything's in place.
If you kill me, all the Sith take over your body and whatever.
That bit, so if Rey kills Palpatine to save everyone, which the film explicitly says, if you kill me now, you can save all of your friends. But I will take over your body. I'm as a Sith, I'll come into your body. Cool. And she's like, oh, so I'll go dark side if I kill you. I can't do it. I'm torn. I won't kill you. 10 minutes later, I'm just going to kill you now. And I didn't go dark side. I am now the hero of the universe. Wow, that was lucky. If I'd done that 10 minutes ago, I would have gone dark side.
A lot less painful.
Can you believe that? Isn't that lucky?
Isn't it crazy? And at the same time, a bunch of horses are charging along a Star Destroyer. And I, again, laughed at the fucking film. Because I was like, that scene was like, oh, have they got speeders? Like, block their speeders. It's not speeders, sir. And I'm just like, okay, it's a bunch of horses.
Oh my God.
I don't care.
I forgot about General Huxley being a spy.
Yeah, he was a spy, I guess.
Why?
Because the film needed him to be. Who cares? The film doesn't care.
So then the film finishes. Rey dies. Ben gives...
That's not how the film ended.
No, Rey dies. Ben gives the life force that Rey gave him earlier in the film back to Rey. Then he dies.
Not before the kiss.
Not before
Have
they
a wee
kiss.
smooch for a while.
Have a smooch for a while. And then he turns into a force ghost.
Sure.
With his mum. Then they have a big celebration. End of film, pretty much.
No, wait, don't forget the best part of it all, where she just goes back to Luke's home.
Naboo.
Not Naboo, is Tatooine.
Tatooine, sorry. I'm thinking of
then she
Anakin's home.
sits on a bit of metal and slides down a sand hill.
a sled for no reason.
She goes. I was sitting
It's a
calling.
callback, guys.
Force
It's a callback to
Awakens,
The
yeah.
Force Awakens.
Remember, like, and then she comes back up, and then she buries both the lightsabers. Some random woman says, "Who the fuck are you?" And she goes, "I'm Rey Skywalker." Movie ends, and I'm just like,
You see Force Ghosts. You see Luke
"You
and
see Luke and
Leia's
Leia, sure, don't care."
Why didn't... I don't understand why Kylo Ren wasn't there with the Force Ghost, though.
Because that would have made sense and been
They'll
poetic.
put that in
and
the George Lucas cut.
And I think you said it earlier. You did say it, and it's perfect. Like, death doesn't matter. Like, Kylo Ren's dead. Is he, though? Because Palpatine didn't die.
Yeah.
Nobody's fucking died. Force Ghosts just exist and can do everything. My new theory is that Force... Anytime you use the Force, it's just an invisible Force Ghost bringing shit to you.
I mean, at this
Because
point,
it's the only thing that makes sense, guys.
Rey doesn't have to be sad that Kylo's dead, because she'll just get to hang out with Kylo anyway, and they
As a
can
Force
touch
Ghost.
things, so they'll just touch each other.
Yeah, it's nothing matters at the end of the
Also,
film. Chewie gets his medal, which
Here's the one thing I want.
nice.
So through the entirety of the Rise of Skywalker, nothing from me emotionally. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like very early on, I went, "Oh, I'm done. I don't care." The only moment that got me and swirled a wee bit of emotion up in my body was when they get back to the planet and Chewie finds out that Leia's dead, and he has that kind of big moment. Because I was like, "Oh, Chewie, a character who I have spent many movies with,
Yeah.
I care about, and I care about
and
him
he's
as a person."
inconsolable.
And he's inconsolable. I cared.
Yeah.
That was it. The only moment in the entire film.
Because C-3PO gets his memories back, so that didn't matter. It's just such a trite. Everything's tied in a bow ending.
But you know what's the funny thing about how it ends? Is it's like, before we even got to the big end battle fight thing, I went, "Oh no, I have to sit through the big end battle fight thing, and I don't care." And then it happens. It ends. But it ends the exact same way Return of the Jedi ends, which is like they've defeated the Emperor. All of the ships are like safe now, and they get to fly off home. All the Star Destroyers are destroyed. I'm just like, oh, this is just the same as Return of the Jedi ends. And then there was more movies after that where the same people came back and kept doing things. And I'm like, so why do I care?
It's there's always an empire, and they always just build more Death Stars. Like it's all they fucking do. They just build.
And
Death
there's always
Stars.
a Jedi, and there's someone with a
Forever.
lightsaber, and two of them fight.
It's
And in the end, they have a big space battle while two people have a lightsaber battle, and then the movies end. And then there's the two sons. Over. I just don't care.
I'm with you. I'm honestly with you. I watched that film, and when I hit that point when I was like, this is a bad film. Like, this isn't a good film. This isn't enjoyable. Like, ignoring all the Star Wars fan service, because that's all that film. Like, that film is 2 hours of fan service. It's 2 hours of everything that all the Star Wars fans, in air quotes, moaned about The Last Jedi. J.J. Abrams coming and being like, well, here you go. Here it fucking all is in a 2 hour smorgasbord. I'm going to wank you off because you love Star Wars so much.
Check those boxes off.
So now you can have it all. You can have it on a fucking platter. And it's just a bad movie. And by the time I reached that point, I then was like, Kieran was next to me, loving it. Jobo's laughing. Dave's like laughing at all the bits you're meant to laugh at. And I'm like sinking into my seat going, I'm going to have to get out of this and then have a conversation with three people who enjoyed this film.
And that's always the worst one when you're that guy.
And came out.
That's always me.
And I was like, what did you guys think? And Kieran's like, I loved it. And I was like, man, I'm so happy you loved it. Jobo was like, I'm kind of on the fence. And I was like, okay, that's good. And
I can work with that.
And then Dave was like, I think I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it all right. Wasn't like, oh, it was amazing. But Dave was just like, yeah, I enjoyed it. Which is kind of Dave's default setting for I've watched a film. Love you, Dave. That's not a bad thing. And since then, Kieran loves Star Wars. He's so happy with it. He feels like it's the perfect end to his childhood, you know?
Sure. Okay.
And I've got another friend who loves Star Wars, who's put up on Facebook saying, I can't believe they gave one of those films to Rian Johnson. J.J. Abrams should have done all three of them. And if J.J. Abrams had done the second one, maybe the third one wouldn't have been as bad because things would have been a bit more spread out. So, another Star Wars
And it would have been one
loves it.
voice with one vision.
But Jobo, who is a bit more of a kind of like watches a lot of movies, is now texted me this morning being like, I've slept on it. That film was fucking gash. It's like this. I think this is going to be more divisive than The Last Jedi.
I mean, I think I'm more so in the camp of like, so I walked into this film not caring. I watched this film, I didn't care. I came out of this film. Just talking to you and Audio Boy about things, I just laugh because it's so dumb and I don't care. And I had the benefit of seeing it with Audio Boy, who doesn't give two fucks about Star Wars. So I knew
I used to.
He used to, but I knew coming out of this film, we were going to have a very medium conversation. We were going to have a conversation on the same level. We were going to talk at each other and not like against each other, and that also helped. But it's ended now. We've sat here and done this podcast, and I'm like, once we've done this podcast, that's it. I don't have to think about Star Wars. Like when I go out for some friends later, they'll be like, oh, I was new Star Wars, and I was like, waste of time. Didn't care.
I really want to have a when Ryan sees the film, if he like loves it, I wouldn't mind having a very quick part in another episode where we discuss it with Ryan, and Ryan tries to explain to us why it's all amazing, because that will be fun. Like, I'm open to having my mind be changed, and it's like it's one of these things of I don't know if it's going to though, because although you can love the Star Wars shit in the film, you watch a lot of movies.
Yeah.
As a film, it just isn't a good movie.
No, it's not a good movie.
Like it's
just
pacing's bad, tone is bad,
writing's bad, plot
bad.
is just fucking insufferable.
Yeah, it's just got so much wrong.
And then it's just a big fucking CGI mess at the end, and I'm like, I don't care. What I've enjoyed about this podcast is you got to be me.
Oh, I'm
for once.
so angry about it, man.
And I just got to be like, it existed. Who cares?
So this has been a very special episode of the Meander Movie Podcast. It's a bonus episode. You're going to get this one, I think, hopefully tonight at the very latest. So hopefully Thursday. If not, this will be Friday by the time you listen to this. Thank you for listening. As always, please send us, if you've seen The Last Jedi, send us your thoughts. If you agree with us,
I'm genuinely
great.
interested to see people's reactions.
If you don't agree with us specifically, I'd be very, very interested in hearing why. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not going to get annoyed. Gavin might.
No, because I don't care.
I'll get annoyed. I genuinely want to know what made that film special for you.
Yeah.
And I apologize if you're getting angry listening to this. Good. Tell me why I'm wrong. Send me an email. And let us know.
Yeah, I will be interested to see how people feel about this film as someone who has no feelings about this film. But I genuinely think that for a lot of people out there and what Star Wars has become and where it's gone, I don't think people care anymore. Like when it comes
I
to
think you can sum it up perfectly with the end of the film, which is everything that's wrong with every single Star Wars movie that isn't the original 3, which is Rey has her own lightsaber at the end, a white lightsaber.
It was yellow, wasn't it?
It's white. It's just because, I know. It looks yellow, but it's white. Because I had to look that up to check. If you know anything about physics, right? White light is a combination of red, green, and blue.
Oh, okay.
So it's supposed to be this stuff. The whole arc that she has and all this kind of thing.
She's got a Sith,
and that was like that. I thought that was really
and-
good. That was really well. Like that's a nice thing to end on. And then they went, "Oh, what's your name?" And it should have just been Rey, and then just Rey. That's just my name. And then she went Skywalker, and it ruins the whole thing.
it makes her entire arc a waste
The whole
of time.
thing is pointless because she says that. Because that one word.
Yeah.
That's what I think sums it up.
Get us on our usual. Just get us. You know what to do, guys.
Go to our social medias.
I'm done.
I'll take us home.
I fucking hate it.
So yeah, social medias is Instagram is Meandering Pod. If you go over to Facebook and Instagram and search for the Meandering Movie Podcast, give us a follow. Drop us some messages, some comments. If you go over to our email, meanderingmoviepodcast@gmail.com, just leave your thoughts there with us, what you thought of this podcast or the movie. Give us some suggestions for other maybe Star Wars things you'd like to hear us talk about. And if you're on iTunes or Spotify, it's all in the description. You get all the links you need to everything. I have been Gavin, pause for effect, Skywalker. This has been a very upset but fun to talk to Gary Copeland.
Yeah.
And sitting in the corner, just being as delightful as always, Audio Boy. Things will return to as normal. Next week, Ryan will be back, and we'll just fucking shit on me as usual.
Back for our usual Thursday episode. Thanks for listening, as always, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Music is life.
So close.
Hi guys, hopefully you enjoyed listening to our very special bonus episode, which was about the rise of Skywalker. Coming in the new year, we're going to be doing our best of the decade. 3 very special episodes where we're going to talk about our best and worst films of the last 10 years. It's a huge undertaking, and it's going to be interesting to see the different variations between myself, Gavin, and Ryan, and Philip. I'm sure pipe up every now and then to tell us his thoughts. But we're toying with the idea of doing a very special 4th episode where we talk about your best films of the decade. So please send us an email, send us a social media message, however you fancy getting it to us, carrier pigeon, whatever. Send us your best films of the decade, and we'll do a special episode where we talk about your favorite films, which will be a nice little intro to hearing us talk about your faves. 3 of your best, 1 of your worst. Thank you very much, and look out for that in the new year.
It's meandering movies. It's meandering movies. It's meandering movies. So won't you lend an ear?